Welcome to this week's Business Finance Bulletin, episode 112. Welcome again to this week's Business Finance Bulletin. With me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services. In this week's bulletin, a new addition to the Business Loan Services team, startup loans, price comparison in the SME finance space, success rates, how many businesses are getting that yes from the bank. And in my business finance tip of the week, a salutary example of how banks are beginning to court SMEs when it comes to finance. Let's start this week's bulletin with some great news. Yes, we've got a new member joining the BLS team. His name's Simon Watts. Comes along with 33 years experience in high street banking, the majority of that looking after corporate clients. So he really knows and understands what businesses want from banks, and more importantly, what they need to do in order to get the bank to say yes. So Simon, welcome aboard. I'll be having a chat with Simon in a forthcoming bulletin where we can hear his thoughts on what business owners can do to really increase their chances of getting finance from banks. So once again, Simon, welcome to the team. One group of businesses which traditionally find it hard to get finance are startups. Banks don't like startup companies when it comes to issuing finance. Reason being, they tend to come with limited track record, and so banks see them as high risk, and it's easier for them to say no. Well, back in 2012, the government recognised this barrier and so established the Startup Loans Company. As the name suggests, they give loans to startups, and it's been a great success. And in fact, the company's just announced that it issued its 36,000th loan and have now lent out just over £200 million. So you can see, it's been a great success. Interestingly, out of all of the applicants that have been successful, 20% of them are in the age range of 18 to 24-year-olds. So young entrepreneurs are really getting a good slice of the pie. The firm estimate that they've created 50,000 jobs, of which 16,000 of those people were previously unemployed. So it's really making a lot of difference to many people. How does it work and what's the profile? Well, as you obviously have to be a startup, you can borrow up to £25,000. The repayment term is 1 to 5 years. The interest rate is 6% fixed, which is a great deal, and there is no setup fee. So if you are in the startup space and you want to know more, just go along to their website, which is startuploans.co.uk. When it comes to access to finance, the UK government has always been very keen on making sure that there is good competition in the small business finance sector. Well, as a result, the Competitions and Markets Authority is in the middle of a review of competition within the small business finance space. It wants to make sure that UK businesses have a wide selection of lenders to go to. So whilst they're in the middle of this review, they've already issued some interim thoughts and are gathering ideas of what they can do when they come towards putting their final report together. And one thing that has come out very early on is that they like the idea of a price comparison website, where small business owners can go to a portal and check to see benchmarking all of the lenders against each other in terms of interest rates, fees, security, etc. Now, in order to encourage providers to come forward, they've teamed up with Nesta, which is a charity that encourages innovation. And they're encouraging potential platform builders to apply for a challenge fund to see who can win in coming up with the best price comparison website. Now, there are a couple out there already, but they don't do the whole job. We've got Business Banking Insight and Better Business Finance. But the CMA thinks that they can go up a level. Now, obviously, there is one key issue here that many of the contributors to this initial paper have come up with, to say that it's quite difficult to come up with true comparisons because banks price differently according to their perceived level of risk. But typically below £25,000 is very much is fixed pricing. So the idea has some merit and should go somewhere. In the meantime, if you're unsure as to whether you're getting a competitive rate, shop around. Go to each individual bank website, or of course you can get in touch with us and drop us an email, info@businessloanservices.co.uk, and we can also guide you through the process. But a good step forward there by the CMA to encourage competition and transparency of pricing within the small business finance space. In Bulletin 111, I started taking a look at findings from the latest SME Finance Monitor report, and I want to continue looking at some of the key issues coming out of that report in this bulletin. First of all, as a reminder, the SME Finance Monitor team are an independent research body who produce a quarterly report based on findings in talking to 5,000 UK small businesses about their dealings with banks and raising finance. This week I want to look at confidence levels in raising finance compared to actual success rates. So of the businesses that they spoke to, they asked the ones who were planning to raise finance, how confident are you that you will get what you want? 53% of businesses said, yes, we are confident that we will get the finance that we need. First of all, compare this finding to that in 2012, where the figure was a confidence level of 42%. So you can see there's been an increase in the businesses who are feeling more confident that they will get a yes from their bank. But the key thing is, what's the actual success rate? Is there a perception gap? Well, interestingly, they asked business owners at the end of 2015, of those who did ask for finance, how many of them actually got a yes? And the figure was 81% got what they wanted. 81% compared to the perceived success rate of 53%. So you can see there is actually a very big gap. In fact, when it comes to renewals of overdrafts, 99% of them said they had no problem in renewing their overdraft. So what's the key message there? Well, if you are thinking of raising finance, don't assume that your bank will say no, because the chances are they very well could. So the key, put your plan together, get your financial information together, and go knocking on the door and present your case. In the next bulletin, I'm going to take a look at some more findings from this fascinating report that will help you raise finance and deal with banks. My business finance tip of the week. Well, it very much follows on from the previous segment about success rates in getting money from banks. I had a very interesting day one day this week where I had 3 meetings back to back. And the first meeting was with a business that was struggling financially and just needed some support in helping refinance what they've got and looking for some new money. So, a challenging case. But the other 2 meetings I had following straight on from that were cases where the companies that had phone calls from their banks saying, hey guys, you're doing very well, we'd like to lend you more money. Do you have a project? Yes, banks actually ringing up customers and saying, we've got money to lend, would you like some? Well, the call for help there was to help put a business plan together and put the loan proposal document together, because both those companies were too busy to do it, so they called us in to give them a hand. Delighted to help. But the key message there is, if you're a good client, you are going to shortly get onto the bank's radar. And if they really like you, expect a phone call. And the message is, be ready. Make sure if you have got a project ready to go, have a basic plan together, so when the bank does call, pick it up and say, here you are, we're ready to go. So again, it's linking to the previous point. So the tip is, don't assume banks are going to say no, because one day you may get a call asking for a plan. Well, here we are at the end of this week's bulletin. As ever, if you did enjoy it, please give it a like and a share. It all helps. Don't forget, if you're watching the video version, we've also got the podcast version available on iTunes, Stitcher and SoundCloud. All you have to do, go to those sites and search for Business Finance Bulletin. And if you are listening on the podcast, of course, we've got the video version. It's available on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Rob Warlow. So that's it for this week. Thanks very much for being with me. Look forward to being with you next week. Bye-bye now.